Good evening. Assistant Secretary General of the OAS, Nestor Mendez, Honorable John King, Minister with Responsibility for Culture in the Prime Minister's Office, staff and colleagues of the Organization of American States, Permanent Secretary and staff of the Division of Culture, Prime Minister's Office, Director and staff of the National Library Service, poets and writers of Barbados, members of the media, friends and colleagues, people of Barbados. My name is Cher Antoinette, and I will be your MC for the evening. Today, March 21st, has been slated as International Poetry Day, and we welcome you to a performance of exciting spoken word, the Night of the Griots. This evening, we also have the added pleasure of participating in the launch of the Inter-American Week of Activities for Persons of African Descent. The theme for this week of activities is Ending Slavery's Legacy of Racism, the imperative for strengthening justice and resilience in Afro-Descendant communities in the Americas in the face of COVID-19. The scheduled events seek to celebrate and honor people of African descent throughout the Americas. We are pleased to have with us tonight staff of the Organization of the American States in both Washington and Barbados, officers from the Division of Culture, as well as colleagues and well-wishers from across the Caribbean and other countries in the Americas. The upcoming week of activities is being organized and coordinated by the Division of Culture, Prime Minister's Office, and the National Library Service in collaboration with the Organization of American States. However, due to COVID-19 protocols, the week of activities will be celebrated virtually. The week-long calendar of events will feature virtual readings from some of Barbados's most celebrated poets and writers, including Barbados's poet laureate Esther Phillips and award-winning authors Winston Farrell, Linda Dean, and Zoanne Evans. It will also feature lectures and presentations on relevant topics such as reparations, national identity, and resistance. March 25th marks the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. The International Day also aims to raise awareness about the dangers of racism and prejudice today. And in celebration of this day, Special Advisor to the Prime Minister, Trevor Prescott, who is also the chairman of the Task Force for Reparations and the Special Envoy on Reparations and Economic Enfranchisement, and Sharada Granum, the 2016 UN Fellow for the International Decade of Persons of African Descent. They will be making statements during the week. The week will close on March 26, 2021, with a virtual seminar by Dr. Rodney Worrell, which is entitled State Repression in Barbados, the Barrow Government versus the Black Power Rights, 1968 to 1970. And this is under the banner of the Department of History and Philosophy at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus as part of the History Cross-Campus Seminars. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now like to invite Assistant Secretary General of the OAS, Nestor Mendez, to bring us some remarks.
As we commemorate the 4th Inter-American Week for people of African descent in the Americas, it is my honor and privilege to offer words of welcome in my capacity of Assistant Secretary General of the OAS. This seminal week was established by the member states of the OAS in February 2018 to remember the legacy of slavery and the slave trade, to be continually mindful of their consequences on the lives of Afro-descendants and fostering greater awareness and respect for the diversity of the heritage and culture of the people of African descent and their contribution to the development of society. The immense positive contribution that people of African descent have had on the socio-economic, political, and cultural spheres of our societies is undeniable. Notwithstanding entrenched racism and discrimination, both subtle and overt, remain a sad legacy of slavery. Afro-descendants continue to confront numerous challenges which impede their full enjoyment of human rights and social inclusion. These inequities have been particularly exacerbated by the global pandemic, which has disproportionately affected Afro-descendant communities. It is in this context that this year's Inter-American Week is being absorbed under the theme Ending Slavery's Legacy of Racism, the imperative for strengthening justice and resilience in Afro-descendant communities in the Americas in the face of COVID-19. The theme highlights the ongoing struggle to eradicate the vestiges of structural racism which permeate our societies and the fundamental need for the implementation of measures to address its root causes and engender a more just society. The COVID-19 pandemic has glaringly unmasked these social inequities, where in some cases, Afro-descendants are more likely to die from COVID-19 than any other racial group, primarily due to disparities in economic inequality, overcrowded housing, environmental risks, and limited access to healthcare. The virus of racism must be confronted and eradicated. These topics will be addressed in the many events to be held this week at headquarters and at special activities in the member states, in which the national offices of the General Secretariat of the OAS have received the commendable support of government ministries, national libraries, cultural and artistic groups, youth and community groups, and local artists. Indeed, a special permanent council meeting this week to commemorate the International Day of Remembrance of the victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade will include presentations by the Vice President of Costa Rica, the Honorable Epsi Campbell, among other distinguished speakers, and a special forum will address the week's theme. Special recognition is paid to the Honorable John King, Minister of Culture of Barbados, the Honorable Olivia Grange, Minister of Culture of Jamaica, and the Most Honorable P.J. Patterson, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, statesman in residence at the P.J. Patterson Center for Africa Caribbean Advocacy at the University of the West Indies, who will all honor us with their distinguished presence and participation in activities marking the week in their respective countries. We applaud the outpouring of support and the enthusiastic collaboration of notable historians, prolific poets, writers, and artists across the spectrum, and the national museums across the hemisphere, which are contributing to these commemorative activities. We invite you to follow us on Twitter and the OS webpage to participate in these and other activities of the week, to learn more about the peculiar challenges facing Afro-descendants during this time and the efforts being undertaken by Afro-descendant communities to challenge injustice and build resilience. The OAS acknowledges the painful paths journeyed by our African ancestors from the shores of their lands to an unknown hemisphere, which we now call the Americas. We honor their memories and pay them homage for overcoming unfathomable challenges so that generations of sons and daughters of African descent are able to demand and defend their intrinsic human rights, even as their contribution to the building of the Americas continues to advance development and progress in all engines of growth in our hemisphere. Thank you for commemorating with us the Inter-American Week for people of African descent in the Americas. It is my hope that you will be stimulated by the discussions and spurred to consider the breadth of the selected theme this year. Welcome once again. We look forward to your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary General of the OAS, Nestor Mendez. It is now my pleasure to call on the Honorable John King, Minister with responsibility for culture in the Prime Minister's office, to give us his remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense pleasure that I speak to you at the launch of the Inter-American Week for People of African Descent. During this period, the Division of Culture in the Prime Minister's Office, in collaboration with the Organization of American States, intends to highlight and commemorate the significant contribution of persons of African descent to the development of every country within this hemisphere. Unfortunately, the contribution of these millions of people remains largely underappreciated and undocumented, so much so that the United Nations International Decade for the People of African Descent was proclaimed on January 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2024, with the theme Recognition, Justice, and Development. For us in Barbados, this week of activities is significant in our ongoing process of healing and self-development. What is of huge importance is the International Day of Remembrance of Victims of the Transatlantic Slave Trade. This falls within the very week that we're celebrating on the 25th of March. This proud country of 166 square miles can boast of achievements in sport, music, politics, science, and technology with names such as Sir Garfield Sobers, Rihanna, Shirley Chisholm, and Alan Emtage, all of African descent. These are some of the better known names, but there are freedom fighters such as Bussa and Kofi, without whom none of the aforementioned works would be possible. The week will feature the works of outstanding individuals here in Barbados, and I encourage all to participate and enjoy. On behalf of the government and people of Barbados, I sincerely thank the OAS for supporting this initiative, and I now declare the Inter-American Week for People of African Descent open.
Thank you, Minister King. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has now come. We now invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy an evening of poetry with us. Griot, birthed in Africa. A griot was a nomadic poet, musician, and storyteller who maintained the cultural and social traditions of life in the west of the motherland. They entertained with stories of kings and queens, gods and spirits, and constantly trained to perfect their skills as orators, lyricists, musicians, and oral historians. Today, the modern-day griot does not stray far from the original concept and continues to speak with a voice that is based on preserving the genealogies, historical narratives, and societal perspectives of their people. Tonight, the tradition continues as the National Library Service presents 246 Bajan Poets to the World, the Night of the Griots.
You Have What It Takes, music produced by Jamar Skeet.
You have what it takes. You have what it takes to pull your foot off of the brakes of your life and accelerate towards the destiny that is your final destination. And anything less would be a total desecration of the sacred temple that you are. Because you are blessed with visions that only you can see. You've been given dreams that only you can make a reality. And to rob the world of your unique contribution would be a tragedy. Because you have what it takes. You have what it takes to take those dreams from behind your eyelids to right in front your very eyes, from the back of your mind to right in your front lawn, or anywhere you want it. Flaunt it. Your greatness is not to be kept secret. It ain't like the good cutlery that only special guests get to peek it. Seek it. And when you find it, shine it like a star, a perpetual light to guide others like you, lost stars, to their rightful place in the sky. How high you want to travel? How high you really want to travel? We can hover light years above the earth's surface, or we can roll up in the gravel. Cause we dig our own graves and we build our own castles. So let me know if to hand you some cement blocks or a shovel. One time somebody tell me, Mr. Green, hand me a space shuttle. Hand me a space shuttle. Cause I plan to build a mansion on the moon. But why not Mars or Neptune? Do you really have what it takes to get that high? Or use just a hot air balloon? Nah, when I look in your eye, I see that you have what it takes. You have what it takes to shake off the shackles of fear and dive into the abyss of perils and risk, making mistakes and missteps, but still pumping your fist in victory. Confidence is not arrogant, and though life is full of mystery, you are not mystified. In the court of history, your ancestors have already testified that you have what it takes by their very survival. When death would have been an easy escape, your ancestors expressed their faith that you, their descendant, would one day wait and take your rightful place in the race. Firm and forceful, but full of grace. To your tongue, your ancestors taste success. To their sacrifices, you are blessed. So nothing less than your best is required. It's time to get fired up and quake all those who would underrate you. So they will never again ask if you have what it takes. Because it would be obvious that you do have what it takes.
One of the worst nightmares that a poet has is speaking and no sound coming out. So luckily, I guess I can chance to introduce that piece. It was called You Have What It Takes. And what I was lip syncing earlier was that it is about the fact that in your ancestral lineage, Barbadians, you are here because your ancestors had what it took to take them through the transatlantic slave trade and colonization as our rough seas. And therefore, it is in your DNA. You have what it takes to take you through any and every rough seas that pet we in 2021 and beyond. So I hope you appreciated the piece. I hope it spoke to you. I hope you can hear me now this time, because you have what it takes. I mute him, I might know. It's me doing it myself.
Thank you so much, Adrian. say, yeah, we all swimming. You know, we ain't gonna be drowning at all. Heads above water, we going good. And at this point, I would like to say, you know, we really are going to the world. Right now, I'll give giving a shout out to Estelle from France and also to Miss Cindy Harrison from Central Florida. And at this point, I would like to introduce our next artist, who's a young lady who I have had the opportunity to work with, and her name is Cindy Celeste. Cindy Celeste is a spoken word poet and creative entrepreneur based in Barbados. She's an arts activist and language advocate whose work seeks to educate as well as entertain while beseeching her audiences to introspection and progressive thought. She holds a BA honors degree in linguistics and communication studies from the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus, and has performed in the inaugural Bridgetown International Arts Festival, the NIFCA Performing Arts Gala, and it was the poetic narrator of the decommissioning of the Lord Nelson statue from Hero Square, as well as participating in the Vrystaat Arts Festival in Bloemfontein, South Africa. Cindy, welcome to the program.
Hi, so
Hey,
glad to be here. Such a pleasure and an honor to be presenting alongside this absolutely amazing, absolutely talented lineup. It's like a family, and I hope you guys enjoy the piece that I'm about to deliver. It is called My Native Language, and yeah, pride is not my native language. For far too long, subservience has been the saliva of my people, inundating our mouths with submission to unteach us of the rebel blood running through our veins. Pride is not my native language. They tied our tongues when they shackled us, chained our Manipura chakras, and infiltrated the links in our DNA with a super strain of yes, massa bacteria. Pride is not my native language. It becomes so easily stuck in our throats like the sounds we do not know or remember, like the fevered pulse of Igbo, Koromanti, and Ashantiwa, like the ashes they have raised to ashes that can only rise again as phoenix in hushed tones. Pride is not my native language. It has been systematically erased and replaced with words that match the color of the public face and align with the facades of a freedom that we fake rather than feel. Pride is not my native language. It was silenced in slave raids and middle passage suicides. It was sold dirt cheap and beaten to its knees. It was subhumanized into endangerment and whipped to death. Pride is not my native language. We do not know what it is to be content with who we are, only to be satisfied with the image of ourselves we have been taught and shown long enough to believe it is truth. Pride is not my native language, but curricula attempt haphazardly to reinstill the mores of a pride they cannot describe accurately before our indoctrination into self-loathing is too far gone for it to matter to most. Pride is not my native language. It is noticeably lacking in the vernacular of my people. It lives on only incognito in the sing-song tuck rhythm iams of our sentences. Pride is not my native language. It exists in quantities large enough to placate the people, to coerce us away from rebellion and coax us away from riot, but not so much as to abolish mental slavery and archaic thought entirely. Pride is not my native language. Pride is not my native language. Pride is not our native language. But we riot and we fight and we protest and we write. So I know that it is not extinct. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cindy. That was extremely powerful. Gave me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah. Okay, but apparently I am not the only one feeling the excitement. Shout out to Irija, who made it clear to all of us that he's feeling the excitement. And as Adrian responds, boom shakalaka, Cindy. Yes, so as we continue now, we go to our next artist. His name is Neck, Nec. Nicholas Neck Boyce is a creative director, model, published author, and aspiring stylist. He's also the founder and CEO of the Never Ending Creative, a personal self expression platform, as well as Nexus, a guidance program for young male models and a creative space to cultivate their diverse arts. Neck, so nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a while,
It's
virtual
been
hugs
quite
and
some
all that.
time.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, can you give us a little insight into what prompted this particular piece that you're going to do now? And we sit back and are so eager to hear you. Floor is yours.
My piece is basically a liturgy, a play on words. Um, for most of you here in Barbados, as you will know, I was out of the poetry scene for quite some time. I took my time in COVID to cultivate a lot of the art and do some self-recovery in terms of the poetic arts. And encouragement from a fellow poet, I recently started going back into the open mic held on IG Lives. And this would have been one of the pieces I wrote as of recent.
Cool. All right. Well, the floor is all yours, Nat. Take it away.
Thank you so much. So this piece is called Of Poet and Dictionary. Let me repeat the name again, Of Poet and Dictionary. So you see, bituminous verbosity meets the cornucopia carpet of thought in nothing short of ironic irony. Tangent tongue twists tails with tribal luminescence, eased iris flit from cornea to cornea, ears perched like dripping echo, open, there is a still. Anachronistic artist, he meets absolution. Exiled eccentric, she finds color. Confounded contradiction collapses upon itself, using nothing less than mere letters fixed to generate hope but pale denial. It is a scriptured thought meant to give ideal. It is verily unto a vendetta that breathes blossoms into a nurtured bosom. It is a tortured script manifested from lucid lips and perched onto modern papyrus. Oh, a liturgical masterpiece meant to free or even desert. And so you see, I have it, a name. I shall title myself with this. It is known as a bastard label. Oh, a welcomed crown, a rejected name, a merger of histories, a senator of syllables, a conjunction. It is a jester, it is a fighter, it is a manifestation. I shall be called poet. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for indulging in my piece. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did when I first wrote this. It took me quite a while to enchant and knit certain words together. I enjoy trying to create stories from my pieces. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on pretty smoothly, I would say. And we have over 100 people already watching us, and we're only like 25% the way through in the program. Want to give a shout out to Lily and Earl Pilgrim, who are in Washington, D.C. Welcome. And you know, what would be really, really cool is if you can just, let us know where you're watching from, because this is supposed to be 246 Bajan Poets to the world. So, friends, we got to get there, the world and just the Caribbean. So let's just keep moving along. Our next artist is LaShawna Griffith. LaShawna Griffith is a 27-year-old Barbadian businesswoman, author, and journalist. She is the current Guyanan People's Choice Award Writer of the Year for 2019 to 2020. And Griffith is no stranger to the stage and has performed at the United Nations House and also at NIFCA during the period 2009 to 2017. She truly believes in being a voice for the voiceless, a hope and an inspiration. Lashawna, welcome, welcome. Giving you
Hi,
my virtual hugs again.
thank you. Good night. Thank you for having me. Happy World Poetry Day, everyone. It's an honor to be here. The piece that I'm doing tonight is called Empathy. And I think we all need to have empathy and also to understand the circumstances that surround people who are less fortunate than us. And this piece was inspired by me being in Bridgetown and watching homeless persons as they sat and waited for food, called Empathy. I watched him walking with a plastic bag in hand with all of his life possessions, just simply asking for $1. And I watched Barbadians ignore and scorn him. But imagine you become homeless. Imagine you lose everything you ever worked for and you're forced to live on the streets and require the generosity of Barbadians for your day-to-day survival. Imagine how you will feel if someone threw water on your back, spat at you on the floor, kicked you while you slept, put their dirty garbage next to the space you have turned into a home, laugh as they watch you go into the garbage can for your next meal. Imagine if you were in their shoes. You feel bad now about not giving them $1, right? No, of course not. You don't feel bad for not treating them fairly because to you, he taking my money to buy drugs. He taking my hard-earned dollar to fund his habit. He taking my hard-earned money to go and he taking my hard-earned money to go and he taking my hard-earned money to go and buy something to eat. Cause he had nothing to eat for the day. Despite you having a shopping bag full of groceries, you turn away. Despite you having more than enough to eat, you laugh when he asks for some of yours. When you throw what you didn't eat in the garbage and you tell him, if you want it, get it. And he is further dehumanized. He is made to feel like the animal you have made him out to be. You feel sorry for him yet? Nope. You don't, because he went hard some college and did bright, but the drugs turned him foolish. And she did a good girl, but since she man left, she went mad. But little did you know they had to face hard, complex realities. Families that hated them for being who they want to be. Society that mocked them for being anything other than a mandated philosophy. So they ran away for the rat race. And when they finally found the cheese, you told them cheese for their photo to be taken. Do you feel empathy yet? Nope. You see them eating and slap them in their head. You see them standing and walking in the middle of the street. You see them asking for money and you scorn them. But in a blink of an eye, you can become them. You can become homeless. One family dispute, one failed marriage, or the mental illness you never had checked because society hates therapy. And then you could be right next to Ninja Man, that fella you laugh at, that got so much education and degrees that he could lecture us on having respect for humanity, for treating persons with respect, for smiling and entertaining those who would have tormented him in the past. He could lecture all of us on how to smile at those who hurt us. Do you have empathy yet? Do you? Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Lashawna. Thank you so much. Sometimes it is really very, very important for us to stop and recognize that, we're all here on this world, on this earth, on this rock, on this Barbados together. And no one is lesser than anyone else. And we have to always lend that helping hand. All right, we're going to keep moving on. But before I do, I just want to give a warm welcome to the former director of the library service, Ms. Haynes. She is here with us. I would also like to acknowledge the Confucius Institute from the University of the West Indies. And it is my great pleasure to know that Mr. Paul Keynes Douglas is in the house. I guess we will need to have to ask questions about Tanti Merle, but anyhow, that's for another program. At this point, I would like to introduce our next artist, who is Aja. Aja is a performance poet, musician, social activist, and cultural administrator. The root of his performance pieces is Bajan rhythm poetry, reflective of the decolonization process in Barbados and the Caribbean. Many of his works are rooted in the island's indigenous tuck music and other Caribbean rhythms and presented in Barbadian nation language, which references speech patterns that came with his enslaved ancestors from Africa. Asha also fuses jazz and R&B with his music to create the sound that provides the platform for him to deliver his thought-provoking and encouraging poetry. Asha, welcome, welcome, welcome. Virtual hugs. I am so glad that you were able to join us this evening. You know, and
Thank you very much for, yes.
And I would like you to introduce your piece and
Okay.
let the world know what it's all about.
Right. And this piece is called Dried Colonialism in Dead. And what is basically saying that our ancestors came over from Africa and experienced the wrath and the horror of slavery. We know the physical pain, the torture, the terrorism that they experienced. But at the root of colonialism and slavery was the cultural domination of African people in Barbados and the Caribbean and the so-called New World. The essence is cultural domination. So despite emancipation and despite independence, I'm saying that Barbadians, the children of the enslaved African people, we haven't gotten over the cultural domination. We still have a lot of work to do to purge ourselves of the indoctrinations and the embedded doctrines and systems and culture that our ancestors experienced. So when I look at Barbados, I'm saying colonialism and dead. And the images of this video, the video shoots, you will see the physical images like streets still named after colonial names and so on. But I'm also saying that embedded in us is the cultural domination, and we have to free colonialism from out of our minds and our consciousness, out of our DNA. And so a lot of work still has to be done. So that is the essence of this work. It dried colonialism in dead.
So that is why we didn't see there was never a plan for true liberation. But we the years of slavery due to all of thee. Walking book feel be free. While not still kneeling at the old wooden cross, looking up, waiting in a glorified loss. While the trauma from the slave ship hole, waiting to be healed in we living souls. Now cross the world, we marching for change, cause it's time to part them embedded change.
Forensic scientist, visual artist, and writer Cher Antoinette is multifaceted and has been successful at NIFCA in photography 2009, literary arts 2011, 2012, and fine arts 2012-2013. She has published a poetic anthology, My Soul Cries, in 2013, Virtualis, a New Age Love Story in 2014, and Architects of Destiny, Poetry and Prose in 2015. Her artistic journey started in earnest in 2014, where she decided to let her work speak to her life. A self-taught emerging artist, Cher has gotten much attention since the launch of Setoile Wearable Art, a jewelry line that showcases her acrylic fluid art. Each piece is one of a kind and enhanced with healing crystals such as amethyst, hematite, and black onyx. She has had 2 solo art exhibitions, Just Call Me Sarah at the University of the West Indies in 2017 and The Colors of My Life in 2018 at the OAS Marcus Garvey Gallery and the Barbados Embassy in Washington, D.C. Her home studio is located 3 minutes drive from the airport.
Hear me see. Eyes closed. Eyes open, staring, blinking rapidly. What is that? What is that? Who is that? Sensory overload, recognition totally gone. Who's there? Who is that? Coming towards us. Coming towards me. I don't understand. I do not understand. This is not normal. This is not my normal. I can't breathe. I need to breathe. Oh, finally. Visual comprehension. I now understand. Their faces. Faces that no longer bear the features we know. Their faces. Faces black, brown, white, yellow. Our faces no longer even toned. Faces that are split in half. Black and blue, brown and white, yellow and green. Faces that are color blocked, patterned, dotted, striped, and even flowered by masks. Masks to protect. But these masks can never hide your pain, our concern,
their anxiety and my fear in the eyes of COVID.
Okay. Well, I guess that may have surprised some of you. Anyway, before we move to our next guest, I would like to give a public apology to Dr. Paul Keynes Douglas. So sorry, sir. Dr. Douglas received his doctorate of letters in 2020 from the University of the West Indies, and he also has the distinguished position of being the Poet Laureate of Trinidad and Tobago. Please, sir, accept my apologies, and I certainly hope that you'll be able to enjoy the remaining of our program. At this point now, we're going to move forward, and we have another awardee in our midst. Winston Farrell, who I was just informed was awarded as Poet of the Year for the Keynote Awards in Barbados for 2021. Congrats, Winston.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome accolades as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Winston Farrell is a theater arts practitioner from Barbados. He enjoys reading and performing his work on and off the page. And he likes to engage his audience with the power and the rhythm in the word. A winner of the Frank Callimer Literary Endowment Prize and the Governor General's Award for Poetry, he has published 3 collections, which are all available on Amazon, and he is honored to share all of these with his family, our family. Winston, thank you so much for being here, and let us know what you're going to entertain us with tonight.
Well, this evening, I want to keep it pretty simple and celebrate World Poetry Day by reading 3 poems, 3 short poems, very much on the page this evening. The first poem is called Lockdown, and it was, I think, the first poem I wrote in March last year as the pandemic approached us. The second poem is called This Journey, and I think that one will speak for itself. That's like the belly of the whole thing. And the final poem, the second wave, is the last poem I just wrote coming out of the experience of the second wave of the corona pandemic here in Barbados. Lockdown. Just when we were readying ourselves to fly, calamity coveted corner and crowd. A whirlwind flew blown across borders, battling a curse of bats, betrayal, conspiracy on wings, contagious in flight, courting countertop services we handle. Wrist turns, knobs every day, fingers, face, doors, the tongues, infectious as our cellular phones. In search of a holy host for coronation, we remain inside like isolated islands, continents in tattered tears, counting up the dead. Ghosts and gangsters fled the dreaded streets surreal. The traffic of profit and loss locked down at home. There's a sober silence to the evening sun. All parties, public, private, on peaceful pause. From priest to puppet, practice social distance. Without handshakes and hugs, the mask becomes a friend. Quarantine desires, anxious and expectant. We're in on curve and curfew. Wash and wait. Journey. This journey did not begin today in tinted sports utility vehicles. It started with shackles, ships, and sharks on a crossing in the middle of the sea, somewhere between home and the marketplace. Did not just begin with your handy Android, intelligentsia, and quick fix diagnostic platforms, but with the simple drum and tongue of the shacks, mutilated in dungeons, the hulls and depths of history, scattered across islands of plantations. So this journey will not end in the here and now, robed in robotics, the language of rockets. Instead, a race for heads. The sail continues, cross routes of Black diasporic journals on the way back home from this human marketplace. And in closing, the third piece is the second wave. And as Barbados kind of coming out of that now, but here we go, the second wave. It comes in waves, some more widespread. Its tidal squalls ripple and roll rough seas at our door steps over all protocols, splashing fear across hard-wearing surfaces, stretching the nerves of the state, pounding on shorelines, store lines long in panic shopping, swells, swirling, storms, swarming. This second wave washes in, breaches the beaches, fence in hotel rooms, looms large in crowded bars, bus crawls, crushing parties, penetrating politics and prison. The church is vulnerable. The market's closed. School is out. Work at home, on pause, on purpose. Weeks squeeze into bubbles. Bodies become immobile cellular beings. No one is safe in this surf. Old folk balancing 2 cents and a penny for a pension. Grandchildren challenging the choppy currents in mask apprehension. Households head above water lay floating alongside the dead, buoyed within a perfect storm. No cruise ships to the rescue. It has gone viral. The common cold cryptid on the horizon. All hands on board. Islands must now learn to swim in this surge of variant waves of viruses and vaccines in oceans near and countries far away. Bless up, people. Bless up, world. I'm happy to be able to come into the homes and hearts and of houses and people. Love you. Happy World Poetry Day.
Thank you, Winston. That was powerful. It was not just powerful, it's also what's happening with us right now. The normal, we can't get back to what we had before. It is now a new normal. And it really is difficult for a lot of people to adapt. But at the end of the day, we do what needs to be done because we want to save our lives and we want to save our planet. I would like to take this opportunity to continue to invite you to tell your friends. We still got a good few more poets to go. And for those of you who have joined us, give us a shout out in the YouTube chat so that we can know that you're really liking what you're hearing. Before we move on to the next artist, I'd like to say a wonderful good night to the Chargé d'Affaires of the Venezuelan Embassy in Barbados, Senor Alvaro Sanchez, and also the Chargé d'Affaires of the Argentine Embassy in Barbados, Senor Angel Dalmazo. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. And again, sit back and relax. And we're going to be moving through steadily with our next poet, who is Gregory Fitt. Gregory Fitt, his philosophy is that life is a story worth telling, and he refers to himself as the real Bajan storyteller and poet. Gregory has served as facilitator of the Junior Reading Program and Storytelling Hour in Barbados for more than 8 years. This program was sponsored by the National Cultural Foundation in association with the National Library Service of Barbados. Throughout each year, this popular storyteller and poet is requested by various schools to read and entertain children of all ages. Known for his ready wit and quick laughter, this artist has won numerous awards over the years in our National Independence Festival of Creative Arts, NIFCA, and showcases the featured performer at many local cultural events. The artist has also facilitated several workshops sponsored by the National Cultural Foundation and was the regular host of Barbados's monthly parish readings and literary arts productions. He has written and co-published with his daughter Danielle, and he has had several of his works published in various anthologies. Gregory.
Hey.
Yes, where you
Bless
at?
up, bless up.
Yes,
I'm right
so
here.
nice
You
to
don't
see
want to see
you.
me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah.
I can see you.
Okay.
All right.
All is
So
good?
yes, everything's cool. Let me know what it is you're going to deliver to us this evening with power of purpose, of course.
Yeah, I'll try my best. What I've noticed is, well, everybody in the world has noticed is that this pandemic has made us realize that heroes don't necessarily come with capes or don't necessarily fear kryptonite. Heroes are everywhere, but I still find that there are one or two real heroes slipping through the cracks, not being noticed. I want to talk about one tonight. I'll just kick it off. You tell me when I'm good to go.
You are good to go.
Let me see. With shovel and rake and cart, glove and shield and mask, his is a thankless task. First of the heroes to the front line, last of the heroes that come to mind. But who is he? Who is he? Who is he that comes each day, mask in place, to set the pace and take his place as first of the frontline heroes? Shield to shield, but no guarantee to shield against what may be and well could be. Who is he? Who is he? I hear him long before he comes into view, committed as he is to saving the environment for us and from us, from the many who should know better and the many of us who do not care enough to do better. Nylon bristles across the dirt and dust of paved tarmac. Occasional metallic scrape of shovel on pitted sidewalk. The drag of plastic bag, recovered and refilled. These are the sounds that intrude without compromise upon the stillness of another sluggishly awakening dawn. His morning's ritual is my morning's ritual. Peering through the parted veils of the curtains, I see him, a shadow in the distance. I watch, fascinated. His bulky form in and out between houses like some animated shadow, occasionally bending over, gloved fingers wrestling relentlessly with any refuse that refused to succumb to sweep of broom or scrape of shovel. His is a remorseless dedication to the cause. First to the front line, last to come to mind. He's my unsung hero. But who is he? Is he the collector? What is that affixed to the fence? It does not belong. It has to be collected. Who from among us has tossed the bag without consideration, tempting canine appetite and luring rodent visitation? The spewed remnants scattered all around have to be gathered from off the ground. Maybe he's the gatherer. What about that bit that is lodged in a crack of a neighbor's wall? He tugs and yanks. It must not be left to fall. It has to be extracted. So that's what he is then. He's the extractor. Or is he? He comes closer and the shadow becomes more clearly defined. He drifts in and out of the dull spill of light that falls reluctantly from the glowing electronic orbs high above his head. I marvel at how the spring in his step defies the early morning chill as he meanders wraith-like along the street, over sidewalk, between houses, pushing cart noiselessly on oil wheels. His spirit soars above the squalor of the neighborhood. His is one of forgiveness as he attains the sordid mess that we, the careless, have created. His face comes into light, and I see the high cheekbones of pride in his features, the strength of character in the jut of his jaw, not constrained nor repelled by mask or shield. There's intelligence in his broad forehead and defiant pride in his every stride. And as he walks, I see a gentle sway from side to side that speaks of rhythm from inside. I watch him swaying. Is he humming again? Maybe I should call him the hummer. Would it be a different tune this morning? I wait with bated breath. I hear the husky strains of muffled melody drifting eerily, sweetly between the still currents of the early morning air. It is the same tune, Gabby's Bridgetown early Saturday morning song, uniquely, ubiquitously immortalized with yesterday's task, no today's task. But no, at last, I know his name. First of the heroes to the front line. Last of the heroes that come to mind. He's the environmentalist. That's what he is, the environmentalist. The one who chooses to commit in the midst of this pandemic to saving the environment for us and from us, for the many who should know better, and from the many who do not care enough about it. I draw my curtains and try to hide my guilt. Thank you. That's it. Hello.
Thank you, Gregory. There were so many powerful elements of that piece. And I think what everyone needs to recognize is that frontline workers are not only medical personnel. There's so many other people who are part of this great mechanism that's trying to save us, sometimes from ourselves. And we need to be able to pay them tribute, and we need to be able to give them the respect that they deserve. And I thank you so much for bringing that to the table this evening. And I would hope that when this program is finished, because it is still going to be available on our YouTube channel, the whole 90 minutes, and persons can sit and listen and absorb the poetry that is being delivered here tonight. Thank you so much, Gregory. We now
My
move
pleasure.
on. We now move on to our next artist, Barbara Chase. Barbara worked at the Cradle of Literacy, our National Library Service, which was formerly the Barbados Public Library. And she's won the Camel Brathwaite Prize for Literature at NIFCA in 1996 for her young adult novel, The Silent Killer, which was subsequently published by the Ian Randall Publishers in 2005. She's also written Who Gabby Think He Is, the story of the mighty Gabby, and this was published by Caribbean Chapters in 2019. In 2019 as well, she published This Land Is Mine, a collection of Barbadian short stories that were written by her mother, Dorothy Lovell. Barbara likes to encourage and collect the work of local artists and writers, and she says something a bit strange. She says she wonders if she is an imposter on the stage, as she writes verse only when in love or otherwise terribly disturbed. So I guess we're going to find out about now. Over to you, Barbara. Tell us what you're going to speak to us about this evening.
Yeah. Hello, good evening, everyone. As the host said, I am Barbara Chase. I first of all want to big up the National Library Service, the foundation of my love of literature and writing, and also a pillar of education in Barbados. And congratulations to the organizers of this event. My poem is called Cut It Out. Cut it out, me say, all this partying and drinking and up in one another face at the beach. We want to thinking, if anybody sneeze or cough in your face, you could catch COVID easy, so then it hard to trace. I serious though? Oh, when I ain't complain, so I locking down the country. We can't stop trying. In the next 2 days, get what when I want. But don't forget about wearing a mask. Look, this thing ain't about Corey or Dale or me. Stand home with one grand. She can learn how to make bread and brew soursop leaf tea. I hope I'm getting y'all to understand. People, this thing real dread. All right, I tired of the house, so I venture out for a walk. The wind cool on my face, but all our important monuments quiet as a mouse. The nursery school empty, the primary school shut, the church real quiet, the door locked down, not welcoming all to come and pray. Boyfriend, things brown. What does anything matter if I can't go at the shop for a drink? You get my gist? It all got me in a brink. I want this thing to stop. I would like to go buy some fresh fish or some tomatoes from a tree, but them all locked down. And everybody's telling me, take care. But look at Tony dead. He did popular about here. Only 10 people allowed in the church. God dear. It's sad. But you see Malcolm, he don't feel so bad, cautious as he is with his money. The boy finally proposed. Only 5 at the wedding. He smiles, then bursts into song as he gives her a rose. I've waited for you for so long. And we got to work from home. You see me? I like them Zoom meetings. Once my hair comb, I could dress up top here. You see, ma? This time I am my underwear. But last time when the session did going long so fast, I was tempted to stand up and shoot that stupid woman my. All right. Boy, now it's getting worse. Them tourists bringing more. People on the radio start to curse. It's December and we got COVID galore. And you got to stand in the sun in a long, long line to get in the supermarket, man. And inside smells tea. Because what happens in air condition stays in air condition. You hear me? No, I'm frightened to go to the doctor or to pick up my medicine. Then Mia say, the vaccine is here. But tell the truth, I frightened some more. Supposed to make me sick. And I feel worse than before. Then I hear she on TV said, Jeffrey, anybody dead? And I think he said no. Well, that is it for me. I'm rushing for the door for my jabination in front of them old people. Them had them time. I want mine. You, this crowd pushing, but I holding my own. Don't mind somebody coughing. And was that a sneeze? No worrying. We can soon be protected. Ma, breeze. Man, what's this joint? I have Harrison Point. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. That was hilarious, but on point for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, we are rapidly moving down. We just have a few more artists to go. But before I go any further, I would like to give a shout out to our friends in Cuba who have decided to join with us. And at some point, I am certain that the Barbados Library Service will be hosting another poetry session where it probably would be able to be done in different languages. That would be a feat for us here in Barbados. Next up is Stoned with Cupid. Stoned with Cupid is a spoken word artist, photographer, songwriter, and creative director from Barbados. His work is an experimental blend of hip hop, soul, storytelling, and theater, woven together in a neatly stitched poetic product. This product has earned him numerous awards and prizes at NIFCA, nominations at the Keynote People's Choice Awards, where he was the first poet to be nominated in the Music Video of the Year category. And it even took him on a 2-week performance tour in Bloemfontein, South Africa at the Vrystaat Kunstifees Festival. Off the stage, he possesses a Bachelor of Arts in Arts and Entertainment Management and has been the ambassador for NGOs such as the SAVE Foundation and None in 3. Stoned with Cupid.
Hi.
So glad that you can join us this evening. Tell us what your piece is all about.
So my piece is called We Will Survive, and it's COVID-19 inspired. These are pretty dark times, and sometimes it can honestly feel like the world is ending. So this is just some inspiration to really comfort the people that are really going through it. So this is how it goes. You could tell me how in a national emergency, so many idiots could emerge. See, we urgency, but we haven't catching on. Cause the tide of stupidity is a shroud. It's a surgency. It could drown Poseidon be, providing he moves like a Bajan. I think things will work out. But it's survival of the fittest. And in this race called life, I question our fitness. Cause every hurdle we reach, we use a hurdling technique we learn from being selfish. And helping yourself, make sure you don't make somebody else helpless. Adjust your lenses to focus on health and wellness. I shouldn't have got to tell this the winner. COVID-19 writing the script on the next Dumb and Dumber. The release date set for the summer of greed and panic plus a disease on a planet gasping for breath from the gases that we left where we inhabit equals a tragic number. 2020. Boy, pessimism just awoke from its slumber. Don't lay in a bed of doubt and get so comfortable that you can't get out or get from under your security blanket. You're not stuck at home. You're safe at home. A broken perspective is a hard thing to fix, but in the cracks and crevices these words could fit. Let me tell you, we will survive. But tang and lie, things a bit dreaded than bongos and money tighter than gold rolls as you try to comb through your finances. Looking to make that money stretch, looking to make ends meet, you ain't taking the chances. COVID-19 make you realize you take enough things for granted. Now you gotta make the most of the circumstances that you are handed. You can't grease the palms of fortune to farm you new luck. It don't work in a pandemic, but we will survive. We might run a little low up on supplies, but we will survive. You might can't live without the Wi-Fi, but we will survive. You might even cry a few nights, but we will survive. Spend some time alone and get to know your own company. Spend some time to invest and reflect upon your own energy. COVID-19 and 2020 is this generation's tragedy, but it doesn't have to be, because we will survive, and we can survive. Thank you.
So much, Cupid. Yes, frankly, we have no choice. We have to survive. And I think it is really a good time for all of us to start loving ourselves a little bit more and loving our own company. Next up, we have Tia Farai, our next artist. Tia Farai is a writer and spoken word performer. Tia Farai has traveled to South Africa with three other Barbadian poets to represent Barbados and the Caribbean in 2019 at the International Vrystaat Literature Arts Festival in South Africa. She won the Irvin Burgee Literary Award, which was a gold, at the tender age of 15 years old, and went on to become a multi-awardee of NIFCA. Tia Farai is now an author. She has published 3 poetry books and a spoken word album entitled Hurricane in 2020. This audiovisual landscape explores the impact historical women revolutionaries of the Caribbean have made on Caribbean culture and society. Tia Farai, where you at, girlie? So nice to see you here with us.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Very humbled by what I've heard so far.
Well, just let us know what you're going to deliver to us this evening, hon.
My piece is called Clone, and in this piece, I explore the emotions that I believe many households would have experienced being on lockdown and not being able to have food sometimes. I think depression is something we've all experienced, and I just wanted to explore that. Okay. A pandemic ain't got nothing on me. My waist can move regardless of a curfew. I got some bashment tunes to blast before I watch the news. Still gonna eat my Sunday food. But with every update, my stomach aches, something missing that I just can't place. This ease in my mother's body travels to her mouth, takes flight on a breath of words. They pierce our skin, sharpened pencils pointed at blank canvases. My sister never misses. She catches everything. She's also learned how to transfer pain and weaponize her words. And in this way, they are always at ends. I prefer to swallow lead. I used to be anemic. I prefer to keep my blood count high. We hope the cases don't rise. My mother works from 9 to 5. I know her bones ache for more. Knowing the unease in her spine may give birth to a thunderstorm. I just watch them dance. This ain't no ordinary carpet. My mother and sister know just how to make the world their stage. Joy travels from her feet to her waist. My sister misses nothing. She catches everything. Her eyes wide enough to catch it. Phone flash quick. Posted on Instagram. Caption #thick. My mother works in 9 to 5. I know the bones in her body ache for more. They also know how to transfer bliss. This ease in his mind has traveled to his bones. They are tired of being sore, have decided to greet each other with violence. He doesn't understand patience, works a 9 to 5, but racing against time and a crying child, his body forced him into a vacation. 600 pounds of metal collide with his midsection and tension, only to survive the dis-ease in his mental, body strapped to wires. When our insides are hurt, we cry, but when our bodies are broken, they bleed. Funny how the human mind transfers pain. We have learned to transfer our pain instead of facing it. Because when the next water bill come in, these tears ain't paying it. I've collected all the salt my veins could carry, hoping I could marry them with the sand of my skin, hoping they become buried deep within. We keep moving because that is what we have been trained to do. And now they have the audacity to tell us to sit still, forced to sit in silence with ourselves. I've never had to sit inside myself, protected from a virus, but among these 4 walls, the real virus lives inside us. and she escapes just a little more with every argument we could have avoided. There's a pain so contagious she attaches herself without detection. Only with closer inspection we realize our projections. It's an infection of the heart. We've been taught she doesn't exist, so to heal her, we wouldn't know where to start. She duplicates herself whenever and to whomever she wants, but we think a belly full and a thought of rum is enough to feel she is gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiafari. Very, very thoughtful that was. We're going to now move on as we get closer and closer to the end. And I know some of us just don't want to leave, but we know it's a finite time. And we're going to move forward with our next young poet, Theo the Poet. From as early as 13 years of age, Theo has been performing his poems and spoken word pieces at the Graydon Seeley Secondary School where he attended. On reaching the age of 18, he began to voice his opinions on the societal topics inside of his school and the community. And until he became 20, he then merged the two. After which he began performing at poetry lines and open mics around the island. In 2019, he entered the Barbados Community College Got Talent competition where he won. No surprise there. And in that same year, he went on to enter the Spirit of the Nation inter-parish competition, making it to the finals where he placed third whilst winning the prize for the most original piece. He loves to use the platforms he's been given to address social issues and often overlooked problems in society, which show the struggle of normal people through the stories he tells whilst using his poetry. Right now, he's currently looking to feather his name in and reach as many people as he can possibly reach with his voice. Theo, thank you so much for being here with us this evening, and we are waiting to hear your voice.
Thank you. Thank you. I've heard of open pastures. You might people go fast. I've heard of gorgeous green growing gardens. My people get tulip and daisy. It must be eaten. Fantastic flourishing forests where bees pollinate them and you see harmony, life without problems. Beautiful bunch bouquets of different colors, all friends, and even with my unworthiness, I long to live among them. See, I came from a different world, but our Dennis Huxtables never made it to college. Fewer opportunities leave us with lack of knowledge. I could tell tall tales that reality won't direct, unstomachable stories of his killing each other for respect. Roses picked from gardens placed in hot screen window, a decoration of death. Predators pass, dark flesh and white teeth. I could smell the heat on their breath. The carcass food for the soil, the food I eat, the price of survival is high in these streets. 12 enemies from Golden Gardens be a rose critique. Roses who only known cold crippling concrete. Their roots run deep on the ground, but suddenly find what they seek. White powder stumps grow up like remote zone, so being buried is their peak. They suffer in silence, they call you soft as you speak. The world's ignorance are disease, yet we keep our pain discreet. And murder be a rose fruit when pain secretes, stemming from hungry bellies. Because malnutrition is a daily practice. Drug abuse, a daily habit. Therapy is non-existent. Depression is matched with prescription. Regression with addiction. Conviction, oppression. To survive, we create victims. It doesn't matter the amount. Our petals fall off when there's a drought. Our thorns grow bigger, the viciousness comes out. Red rain of iron absorbing on roots. Luxurious fields are pursued beyond the steps of white boots. At our seeds, they shoot. Bury them in the dirt, but nothing grew. Parasitic caterpillars bite our petals to help their cocoons, destroying our beauty and dignity too. But despite being petter deprived, we survive. Ironically, our own decay helps us to rise. Our survival is a caterpillar's surprise, so jealousy brings back the butterfly with questions like, How can something like damage you in such beauty? How can you survive countless tragedies? How don't you want vengeance? You just demand to be free. How can you be so strong it intimidates me? How have you found your roots when I've taken buds out of your family tree? How dare you frighten me? I pause and then I answer. I've watched you abuse your power. Your generational wealth stood over me like trees. It towered, uprooted families and poor communities. Building barred gardens of war roses whose seeds scream for daddy, raining bullets, a rush for each casket bed. Death follows innocence as they try to get ahead. And through these countless atrocities, I dug. So deep I found my metal. I grew as gold. No bear witness to the King Simon hero of my soul. Once broken pieces now made whole. But infinity signs on my value. No concrete system is going to determine my altitude. Your law like corrupted politicians. Keep them. We don't need them. Put in place to make me feel like I can work for my ceilings or blood any television who over-sexualize and abuse our women. We will stay prone to fight your oppression. We will burn this world down to its core to obtain freedom. And if I die today, let me be one of the roses that join the kids to will, or one that will give to Uncle Phil. Lay me on the graves of Nelson Mandela, Rosa Parks, and Buster. Lay me on the grave of Muhammad Ali. Let our seeds inherit my body, reincarnated in them, all of the fight I had in me. Let them tell my story of a rose once bound by concrete, finally freed. Thank you. Thank you.
To our penultimate artist for the evening, our penultimate griot, a sister of mine, beloved Mariposa. Deborah McCollin, or Mariposa as she is known in the writing world, is a true Gemini. She uses her pen to either tease with her blend of erotic, sensual, and provocative flavors, or to be powerfully encouraging and empowering. Mariposa is a passionate domestic violence advocate and has written Journey of the Butterfly, a book dedicated to her own experiences from being a victim of overcoming abuse. Her repertoire includes not only poetry, but short stories as well, and her work has been featured in various e-zines, and her books are available on Amazon platforms. Mariposa has performed on various open mic stages, hosting shows in Barbados, the American radio show Smooth Operators on Black Satin Radio, and last year she started her own erotic open mic and chat show. For those of you who don't know, Mariposa means butterfly in Spanish, and it is the symbol of Mariposa's own personal journey. Chica!
What's up, girlfriend? What's
yes,
up?
Please. Be good. So glad to see you. Haven't seen you in eons.
We haven't been outside in forever.
I know. We need to fix that. Let us know.
In time.
Tell us what you're going to do for us this evening.
Okay, the piece I'm going to do today this evening is called Goddess in Me. It's one of my favorites because Goddess in Me basically tells women, because you were abused, you're not a statistic, and you can go forward in life and you can fulfill your dreams. And especially now in COVID times, I understand statistics for domestic abuse are climbing, not only for women, but for men. So I am going to break it a bit today, and I am going to ask the guys to listen to this piece as well, because I'm sure there's something they can find in there. Goddess in me. I am powerful. never to be underestimated. My struggles strengthen but do not define me. Yes, I've been hurt, used, abused, knocked off my pedestal by broken promises and disappointments. I submitted to those unworthy. I became a storm of insanity, lost, powerless, fearful, spineless, uninspired, just existing in a dark cocoon, sleeping the slumber of the dead. But I woke up. I don't judge those who still sleep, but I hope they awake and embrace their destiny. I am powerful, determined, phenomenal, wonderfully made. I may bend, but I never break. I mount with confidence my pedestal, strengthened by lessons learned. Hurts experienced, I have forgiven. I've made peace with the past, but I'm not looking back. I am woman, mother, lover, strong Black woman, talented queen, goddess, empowered yet sensitive, blessed beyond measure, happy surpassing my own expectations, courageous and determined, confident and unintimidated because I know my worth, beautiful because the Father made me so. I am free, free to be who I am destined to be. This is who I am. Catch up with me or get to step in. Because from now on, it's myself I'm repping. Thank you very much for having me, and happy World Poetry Day. And I hope that touched somebody's hearts out there. Don't give up on yourself.
We never ever do give up on ourselves. Never mind how difficult sometimes things are going to be. We know we are presented with these challenges because we are presented with these challenges for a reason. They're supposed to be learning experiences. We're not supposed to be having any regrets, no regrets at all. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now here at the point of our, I don't even like to use the word, our final poet. My spar, passion poet. Robert R. Gibson, passion poet, one word, by the way, or passion for short, or for me, Robbie G. He celebrates sensuality by playing with words and using them to create powerful experiences within the minds of his audience. Passion is the personification of intensity, and his words conjure up several emotions. His goal is not to just celebrate sensuality, but create safe spaces for dialogue surrounding it, to shatter stereotypes and break taboos. His words give space for femininity to be encouraged and celebrated. There's only one thing I can say at this point in time, and that is, here is passion.
Hello.
Hi, Robbie G.
Hi, y'all can hear me?
Yes, please.
Good, just
Floor
making
is
sure.
yours. Floor is
All
yours.
right. Who am I? I am emotion. I am fire. I am devotion. I am desire. I am passion. And this piece is called May My Voice Always Make You Doze. We've had a lot of talk about COVID. We're rising above COVID. But I am a person who loves touch, and we've not been touching very often because we're afraid of the virus. And this piece brings it all home to a nice romantic vibe that we want to get back to. Okay? May my voice always make you doze. May my voice always make you doze. May its timbre always soothe away the stress of the day, smoothing its crinkles like an iron passing over wrinkled cloth. May my voice always make you doze. May my voice always make you smile as eyes close, gently bearing you on angel's wings towards the rest you so desperately need. May my voice be the auditory kiss that brushes your ear, sending gentle tingles up and down your spine. May the bliss in hearing me talk about random nothingness never fade, as my one joy in life is being the personification and embodiment of your every need. May my voice always make you doze. May my voice always make you doze. May my thoughts of you make you smile as my voice caresses, replacing for a moment the touch of my fingers possessing willing flesh. May my voice make love to your soul as every rise and fall of my intonation is meant to make you come to the climax of our combined reasonings until you fall, sated, into satisfied slumber. May my voice always make you doze. May my voice always make you doze. May my voice always represent peace, always represent safety in the midst of a cruel world where just listening to my voice erases time, tiredness, distance, fear, and replaces the same with gentleness, joy, and contentment. Where at first, slipping into slumber used to invoke ire, where the blood would boil and I would feel slighted. Now the thought that you feel such peace when I speak makes me delighted beyond belief. I can replace your tension with the mention of my spontaneous conversation, even though sometimes I wonder how much of the last sentence I spoke you actually heard. Did you hear me? Did you hear me, honey? Honey, wake up. Oh, you know what? You know what? Never mind. Get your rest. May your voice always make me doze. There's that piece. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program for the evening. But before we go, I must acknowledge the presence of our Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Amor-Wantley, who has sent us a personal message, and it says, and I will read it for everyone. Congrats to all of the spoken word artists who have performed this evening. I'm so proud of each of you. It just shows us what talent abounds within these shores and that we have to share with the rest of the world. Let us meet soon and see how we can take it to another level. Blessings, Mia Amor. Thank you, Prime Minister. This really and truly means a lot. Did I say a lot? Yes, I just said a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're here. We've come to the end of this evening's performance. But I would like you to please join with me in giving a huge vote of thanks to all the wonderfully talented artists and griots who have thrilled us this evening with exceptional quality and their creativity. We thank you most sincerely for joining us and supporting the artists, their presentations, and even more importantly, listening to our voices, We would also like to encourage you to join us each day on the Facebook page of the National Library Service, where you'll be able to see all of the updated events for the remainder of this week, which we are celebrating. Tonight, however, was a very special night for us griots, that being the night of International Poetry Day. And I feel particularly honored, try not to get overwhelmed, of being here, albeit virtually, in the presence of my pals, in the presence of award-winning poets, and frankly, in the presence of greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Cher Antoinette. I have been your host for the evening. And I encourage all of you to keep reading, enjoy poetry, stay safe, love yourself, have a pleasant evening, and refreshments are now served in your kitchen.